Welcome everyone. This is Yuvraj Dua. With me today, I have a new guest, Bhagyashri, of course. And today we'll discuss about all three games for uh, tomorrow. That is 29th December. Too much to talk about, too much to discuss. India versus India versus Australia. India versus Australia, South Africa versus England, New Zealand versus West Indies. We have three matches lined up, and I think without any further delay, we should start. First of all, Bhagishri, any initial words? Three games in one day again. How excited are you for this day?
Well, very excited. I think the last three matches that we saw had a lot of action going on. Some brilliant, some brilliant performances by a lot of players. Lockie Ferguson's five-wicket haul, Adam Zampa's, he took two crucial wickets of Shikhar Dhawan and Hardik Pandya, and Josh Hazelwood just, taking the top order of India. So I think taking away the top order of India. So I think a lot of action coming up for tomorrow as well. And as we discussed, I think everyone else must be very excited and looking forward to it as well.
Definitely. And first, we'll start with India versus Australia, of course, in chronological order. This match will start at 9:20, of course, 8:50 toss. It's pretty early for Indians in the morning, but I think all cricket fans will be up by that time to watch this match. And first, let's have a look at Australia's playing 11. It is expected that they will go in with the same 11 as they did in the last match. Let me just read that out to you. Aaron Finch and David Warner at the top of the order, opening for Australia. They did a fine job in the last match, almost took the match away single handedly away from India. Steve Smith at number three, a century for him. Two centurions, Aaron Finch and Steve Smith in the top three. Marcus Stoinis, an injury update is still awaited from the Australian management, but it is expected. It is expected that the injury wasn't of that much intensity, and he will be featuring in the 11. Of course, Manas Labuschagne didn't get much of a bat in the last match. Glenn Maxwell, 45 of 19 in the last match, blistering innings for him. Alex Carey down the order. Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark, Adam Zampa, Josh Hazelwood. Brilliant bowling lineup. A lot of firepower in their bowling armory. They bat deep. They have a lot of strength in their batting lineup and their bowling lineup. Our top picks for this match would be Steve Smith, Josh Hazelwood, and Aaron Finch. All three top performers in the last match are the top picks. Australia look really, really strong, really, really balanced, more importantly. They almost score full marks in all departments. That was the Australian 11. For the Indian 11, I think all of you will be very excited and eagerly waiting for this 11. Bhagishri, over to you for that.
Well, the Indian side, just like the Australian side, might also be wanting to go with their same 11. So in the opening, we can see Shikhar Dhawan and Mayank Agarwal. Shikhar Dhawan did really well with the bat, and him and Hardik Pandya at one point showed that maybe the match could be going our way. So Shikhar Dhawan followed by Virat Kohli, who was a little uncharacteristic during the match, and he got out pretty early, but he would be there. Of course, he is the captain of the side. Shreyas Iyer did not do that well with the bat. KL and got out pretty early into the innings, but then comes Hardik Pandya, who scored a blistering 90 off 76 deliveries. And till the 39th over, till when Hardik Pandya was there, India still had hopes. Then we have the bowlers, Ravindra Jadeja, Mohammad Shami, Yuzvendra Chahal, Jasprit Bumrah, and Navdeep Saini. They did pretty well. Mohammad Shami was the most economical and picked the most crucial wickets. He picked three wickets in the last match, and they did really well. Although there were Chahal turned out to be a little expensive in terms of his bowling, but they did their best. So let's look at the top picks: Virat Kohli, Shikhar Dhawan, and Mohammad Shami. Virat Kohli, he is the best, one of the best batsmen in the ODI format, and he will not stay silent for too long. So we can see Virat Kohli performing really well tomorrow. Shikhar Dhawan, he showed what he can do in the last match, and he's expected to continue with the same form throughout the series. Mohammad Shami, of course, he picked up the right wickets. He picked up his. He did not, let the batsman score too much. So those were the top three picks from the Indian contingent.
Fantastic. The lineup also looks really good. One of the problems in their side is, of course, they don't bat deep. and they lack that sixth bowling option because of the absence of Hardik Pandya solely as a bowler. So they'll have a lot of problems, a lot of cons to discuss in ahead of this game. But still, India will be looking to make a comeback in the second ODI and level the series. Let's move on to our next fun segment of this live session. That will be the fantasy guide, of course. Uh, India versus Australia, second ODI fantasy guide. Let's start with the wicket keepers and the batsmen. KL Rahul will be our wicket keeper. There was a choice between Alex Carey and KL Rahul, but because KL Rahul bats up the order at number 5, he has more of a chance of getting more fantasy points for you. Then, of course, moving on to Mayank Agarwal and Shikhar Dhawan from India as the batsmen. Mayank Agarwal looked really good at the top of the order along with Shikhar Dhawan, but it looked like he wasn't able to get out of that mindset of T20 cricket because he was just looking to go hammer and tongs on every delivery. That won't work this time. He'll have to be a little more patient, and if he can stitch together a good partnership along with Shikhar Dhawan at the top of the order, India will get a good start, of course, and they'll be in a better position to win the game. Third batting pick would be Virat Kohli. He'll also be the vice captain. He did fail with the bat in the first match, but he looked good. That's why we've made him our vice captain this time around as well. David Warner, the first pick from Australia. Sorry for that. Provided a really good start to Australia along with Aaron Finch. Aaron Finch went on to score 100, of course, but David Warner was also really good in the
And Glenn Maxwell. Both of them were destructive in the last match. Hardik Pandya scored a 90, while Glenn Maxwell scored around 47, 49 of just 17 deliveries. So I think those two would be the best pick when it comes to the all-rounders. And then we have our bowlers, Mohammad Shami, Adam Zampa, and Josh Hazelwood. These three, I feel, were the most effective bowlers in the last match. Adam Zampa took some crucial wickets. Josh Hazelwood top order, and Mohammad Shami took 3 wickets. So that's the fantasy guy that you can make for your fantasy team, that you can make for yourself and expect maximum points.
Now let's move on to the next game. We will have a look at the best tweets before the game. We have picked one tweet from each game. That's why we will have a look at the tweets after we talk about all 3 matches. Moving on to the next game, which is, of course, New Zealand versus West Indies. And for that, would you like to start the proceedings, Bhageshri, with New Zealand's playing 11?
Well, absolutely, Yuvraj. The New Zealand side would pretty much also want to go with the same playing 11. They won the last match, and so the opening could be like with Martin Guptill and Tim as the wicket keeper of the side. Then we have Devon Conway, who scored a very good 41 of 29 deliveries. Glenn Phillips also did really well with a 22 of 7. So he kept the strike rate too high, and really helped them score big in less number of deliveries. Ross Taylor could not really do that well with the bat, but then we have James Neesham and Michelle Santner who did very, very well with the bat, and made them score big. However, with the ball, they were kind of expensive for the side. Then we have the last three: Tim Southey, who is the captain, Kylie James, and Lockie Ferguson, and Hamish Bennett. To come to the top picks, we have Jimmy Neesham, Martin Guptill, and Lockie Ferguson. Jimmy Neesham, he did so well with the bat, and he also gets to bowl for the side, so he could be seen doing pretty well for the side tomorrow. Martin Guptill is yet to speak with the bat, so he can do pretty very well tomorrow. And Lockie Ferguson, of course, he had the 5 wicket haul in the last match, and he was absolutely destructive. And so those were the top picks from the New Zealand side. Would you like to take over the West Indies side, Yuvraj?
For sure. Let's talk about the player first. That will be Brandon King and Andre Fletcher. Andre Fletcher provided a blistering start to West Indies in the last game. 81 runs in the first 6 overs, first power play for them. Brandon King wasn't able to carry on for the long innings, but still he can also provide a good start for West Indies. Shimron Hetmyer at number 3, he got out for a duck in the last game. He'd want to definitely improve on that. Nicholas Puran couldn't do much. Robin Powell couldn't do much. Kyron Pollard was the star of the show for West Indies. 75 of 37 not out for him in the last game. He'll also be leading the side. Fabian Allen supported really well. He supported Kyron Pollard really well from the other end. Pollard going great guns. Fabian Allen 30 of 26 in the last game. Kimo Paul, Sheldon Cottrell, Kesrick Williams, and O'Shane Thomas. That's what the bowling department looks like. Our top picks would be, of course, Kyron Pollard. Without Kyron Pollard, this list would be incomplete. Andre Fletcher, the second pick, and O'Shane batsman, the Kiwi batsman. So they weren't able to defend 180 on the board even in 16 overs. West Indies will again be looking to square this series 1-1 at the end of 2 games, but New Zealand won't allow that easily. We still think for West Indies in this game after their form in the first game. Let's also have a look at the fantasy guide for this T20, second T20 between New Zealand and West Indies. Let's have a look at the batsmen and wicketkeepers first. Andre Fletcher, Glenn Phillips, and Tim Seifert, all three wicketkeepers that were available, we've picked because of their performances in the first game. Glenn Phillips, 22 of 7 in the Glenn Phillips, 22 of 7 in the first game. He looked really good. It's expected that this time he'll carry on for the longer innings. Tim That's what the bowling department looks like. South Africa looked good in the first match, but England were just too good. They couldn't get past the line. Of course, they weren't able to defend on the day. Rassie van der Dusen, Faf du Plessis, and George Lind will be the top picks. George Lind again, 4 overs 20 for 2 in the first game. Faf du Plessis, a substantial score for him with the bat. Van der Dusen also looked in good form. He got his timing right, and that's why these are the top 3 picks from South Africa. England, Bhagyashree will tell you the 11.
Well, in the opening, we can see Joss Butler and Jason Roy. Both did not do that well with the bat. But then we have David Malan, Johnny Bairstow, and Ben Stokes, who absolutely were phenomenal, especially Johnny Bairstow's 86 of 48 was clinical. And then, of course, we had Owen Morgan also coming in and contributing to some extent. In the bowling department, we have Sam Curran, Jofra Archer, Tom Curran, Adil Rashid, and Chris Jordan, who bowled really well. Tom Curran looked a bit expensive. His economy was 13.75, but other than that, the other bowlers did pretty well for the side. So let's look at the top picks. Sam Curran, he picked 3 crucial wickets for the side and kept the economy as low as 7. Johnny Bairstow, well, I just spoke about how amazing his innings was, and he scored that 86 for the side and really gave that stability to the side when they lost the top order batsman. Then we have Ben Stokes, who again, helped Johnny Bairstow to get the victory for the England side.
England side looks really good, and that's why 61% tilted towards England. Honestly, again, it's looking ominous for South Africa. It doesn't look like this is their 100% side, and that's why I think England might just go 2-0 up and seal the series in the second game itself. The action is still not stopping because we now move on to the fantasy guide for the second T20 international between South Africa and England. Starting off with the wicket keepers, we've picked 3 wicket keepers in our side. Wicket keepers have been performing really well. Johnny Bairstow, the captain, 86 for him in the first game. Man of the match, bagged by him. Heinrich Klaassen, the South African wicketkeeper, and Quinton de Kock, who actually keeps. Heinrich Klaassen was in the field out there today without the gloves. Owen Morgan and Rassie van der Dusen will be the first 2 picks. Owen Morgan came at number 6 for England. Uh, he did get a bat out in the middle for just 7 balls because there is so much firepower in England's batting. What to do? Rassie van der Dusen batted really well, but it was all about Faf du Plessis in the South African batting lineup. He's our vice captain. Johnny Bairstow, the vice captain. All rounders and bowlers. Bhagyashree, over to you again.
Well, if we look at the all-rounders, we have kept Ben Stokes, Sam Curran, and Lind. Ben Stokes, because he was very, very good with the bat. He scored that 37 off 27. And as I said earlier, gave that stability to the side and really, was there standing with Johnny Bairstow and ultimately led the team to victory. Then we have Sam Curran, who was very, very economical as a bowler. With the bat, he did not really get to bat too much, but he only faced 3 deliveries and scored a 7 of those three deliveries. And then we have Lind, who again was pretty economical and scored a 12 of just 6 deliveries. In the bowling department, we have my favorite Jofra Archer, who took a crucial wicket and kept the economy low as well. And we have Nigiri, who again did really well for the side, and he picked a crucial wicket and he kept the economy low too. So with this team, you can expect maximum points, and that's the fantasy guide for tomorrow's match between England and New Zealand.
Let's move on to the last segment of our live show. Best tweets before the game. 1 tweet picked up, handpicked from all 3 games. For the first tweet, Bhagyashree, would you like to read it out so that we can discuss it?
Absolutely, Yuvraj. So the tweet is by Sandeep Datta. The username is @sdatta2911. Catches wins matches, as the saying goes, and it was so true in yesterday Australia versus India ODI match situation. Team India fielding and bowling was under par and really poor. Highly rated top order batsman fails again. Struggle to start well in an overseas series continues once more.
I think he's summarized India's performance really well. They were not the best out there in the field, dropping some catches, not the toughest of catches. Poor outfielding, poor ground fielding, and top order batsmen really disappointed. I don't know what was going inside their heads. They came out with such an aggressive mindset. They had a lot of time, but they wanted to finish in a flurry, of course. And as he mentioned, fielding and bowling was under par, and it was really poor. And I think India also felt the impact of the absence of Rohit Sharma in the top at the top of the order. What do you think, Bhageshri?
Well, absolutely. Rohit Sharma has done really well for the side. And, in place of him, you have a Mayank Agarwal, who did really well in the Indian T20 League. But he's, I think, yet to come out of that T20 phase, because he's just played that format and he's yet to come out. And he's obviously not as experienced as Rohit Sharma. And when you're playing against a team like Australia, in the last time when India met Australia down under, we did not have David Warner and Steve Smith. And this time, the two have really shown, what they can do together. And we saw that in the last match. So now moving on to our next tweet, which is by Nirikshan. The username is @Nirikshan. Yesterday is another example of individual brilliance can be beaten by a collective team effort. Here I'm talking about particularly batting. Top performance by Pollard and even got the breakthrough with the ball, but New Zealand batsmen collectively done it. Great game. What's your thought on that,
I,
Yuvraj?
I always say when you perform as a group, you're in a better position to win the game. Even if one or two players perform for you, but in the other team, if the team performs as a huddle, then you're in a better position to win the game. That is exactly what happened. No batsman from New Zealand got to a 50, but they still won the game. 48 was the knock from Jimmy Neesham, and it was enough in the end to get them over the line 3 balls before the 16th over mark. Now, moving on to the last tweet of the day. Vakas Khatak at WikiFan13 says, "Wow, Johnny, you beauty. How good is England in white ball cricket? Absolutely true. Everyone is an opener, steadier. I think he means one who can steady the ship, and finisher and bowler. Absolutely true. And yeah, Boom Boom was also fantastic tonight. Which Boom Boom is he talking about? I can't actually say which Boom Boom is he talking about, but definitely, I think England is such a versatile team. Every batsman can bat anywhere you want, and that's exactly what you want from your side. England 1-0 up. Again, let me repeat the scoreline for you. England 1-0 up in the three-match T20 series. New Zealand 1-0 up. Australia 1-0 up. Can any of the three teams that lost the first game make a comeback in the second game? We'll have to wait and watch for that. We don't have to wait much because action starts at 9:20 tomorrow as India will play against Australia in the second ODI. We'll have a lot of fun tomorrow as well. We'll come back tomorrow with a live show before the start of the first game. So don't go anywhere. Keep watching Sports Tiger. Lots and lots of action coming your way. Thank you. Have a good night's sleep so that we can watch the match tomorrow with a lot of excitement and fun.